Hi there, welcome to Real Talk with PK, and today we have a real miracle. And it's the Christmas season, and we're so happy to bring you this interesting person, interesting story, and the miracle of this season. Um, you know how it is in Real Talk with PK. We like to bring real stories that actually can inspire. And for me, this is a very, very inspiring story. When I heard the story for the first time, I said, no, I have to sit with this miracle and hear it firsthand. And ladies and gentlemen, I have with me none other than a miracle. I'll let her introduce herself. She'll tell us more about her story. So, ladies and gentlemen, meet the miracle of this season. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. My name now is Erumena Akpogene Adaya. I used to be Erumena Amata. And Pastor, what do you want me to say?
Okay, so the beauty of or the miracle of your story is that you got married for the first time at age 64.
Yes.
All right, you got married for the first time at age 64.
Yeah.
I mean, tell us, I don't even know where you want to start from, but maybe you should give us a bit of your background first before we get to the miracle part.
All right, okay. I come from the Amata family. I guess most people know the Amata family in Nollywood. I used to have 3 older brothers and then 2 younger brothers and a sister, but along the line my immediate older brother passed. Our parents brought us up in the fear and knowledge of God. We actually have an Anglican background, yes. And I grew up, there's some people use the adjectives skinny, slim, slender. None of those ones. I was thin, not thin Thin, but the way the Delta people go say eating. I grew up thin, and so even though I am an extrovert, because I grew up thin and I didn't develop or mature the way my cousins and people our age mates did, I was somewhat reserved. And I was thin, I was tall, I was all legs, so you just look, you see all legs, and flat. I was actually flat. And then along the line, I used to have friends who would tease me, tell me that you are too tall, you will never see a tall man to get married to. And even if you found someone to get married to, okay, this was as time went by, even if you found someone you get married to, you'll be almost 10 years older than the man. You know, I attended every wedding I could attend, my friends' weddings and everything. You know, every young girl, every young woman, your dream is that, okay, you'll get married, you go for weddings. You know, they say you should go to weddings, maybe you find a man there. You go, nothing would happen there. And time went by. And I noticed that women within my age range, as you know, from your 20s, you expect to get married in your 20s, nothing would happen. 30s, nothing would happen. 40s, nothing would happen. By 50s, still nothing would happen. And I would always say, oh, this Christmas, in fact, at the end of this year, I will move. I'm going to move straight from this house I was living into a husband's house. And it never happened.
But this Christmas has happened.
Yes!
This Christmas right now, husband's house.
Yes, I'm in my husband's house.
Let me distract you this guy with your story.
And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because aside from the fact that you will see like my cousins who are the same age, like as we speak now, I have cousins who are the same age, they all have grandchildren. Yeah, because they got married at the right time, so to speak. Their children got married at the right time, and their children already have children. So my own story was such that even a child that was born, that's my older brother's son that was born. Then I was about, how old was I? I was about 17 or so. And we would take turns, because his mother dropped him with us, and we'd take turns in caring for this child. So even when it was my own time, I would carry him on my back. And you know the one that they say, you know, at times when you've taken care of each child, say, you were a piece for my back. My nephew actually peed on my back. For real? So you see, that thing that they say is actually true. Yeah. But let them not distract from the story. We are two girls my mother had. I'm 16 years older than my younger sister. She lives in Edinburgh now. She has 3 children, and her first son is 18. Yeah, 18. And my younger sister wanted to get married, and I was not yet married. And she wanted to get married. She was like, oh, you have married? I said, no, go ahead, get married. And I remember on the day my younger sister was getting married, there was our neighbor that time, and he was asking, his men are happy? For goodness sake, why would I be happy? My younger sister is getting married. I know I carried my younger sister. And then as time went by, my same nephew, I was at his wedding. I actually signed the wedding register. And then he had a child. And I was carrying that child. So that's how it went. And then I had friends who would, some would openly mock. Some would, I mean, there's a way someone would treat you, you know, the person is mocking you, you know. And I'm an extrovert. What happened to change my whole outlook on this, because one of my friends recently said, Mena, we didn't know you were going through all of that too. How come you maintain a happy disposition? Now, I tell you what, in those days, I used to attend the Fountain of Life Church with the late Pastor Bimbo. And she used to run this program called Singles and Married. And I remember one thing she said, which stuck with me. She said, if you are many women or men look to marriage as a panacea for either their loneliness or unhappiness. And she said, if as a single you are unhappy, you'll be unhappy as a married woman. And I took that to heart a lot. Say me, I don't want to be unhappy in marriage. And so I decided, I made up my mind, I was going to be happy, come what may, no matter what, whether husband is coming, is not coming, I'm going to be happy. Then secondly, I decided to throw my passion or my energies into what I am passionate about. And I'm passionate about young people. Young people, when I mean young people from 0 day to maybe the early 20s. So I decided to throw everything, I put my passion into that one. I am a creative person, I'm a media person. So I decided to throw my passion into that one. Because you know, when you are passionate doing something, it detracts your mind from, because they say an idle mind is the devil's workshop. And I didn't want my own mind to be the devil's workshop. So I started doing that one. Then it wasn't only me that suffered the fact that I was not yet married. My mother, God rest her soul, she died in 2011. That's 10 years now. But what I'm going to tell you happened years before. I think I may have been in my early 50s. My mother, that woman, aside from being a drama queen, oh Lord, according to my sister, my mother's favorite people are pastors and doctors. So, my mother was attending a Redeemed parish that time somewhere in Surulere, and every time she would sow a seed. If one of her children, she thought one of her children needed something, she would sow a seed. Okay, this one is looking for a child, this one is looking for a wife, something. And there was one time she told me that there was one woman, when she said, oh, I want to sow a seed for my daughter to get married. I was talking to her, almost said, Mama, forget that side, your pikin no go marry again.
Wow.
Instead, pray for her, make she reach the next level. My mother cried. My mother cried because it was her dream. And it was also my dream too, that at least before she passed, I would have been a married woman. And that thing came strongly to bear on my wedding day, just as I stepped, because it was my nephew that walked me down the aisle. Just as I was going to step, the song I chose was Love Divine or Love's Excelling for my bridal march. And as Oreva, my nephew, was walking me down, I wanted to shed tears because I said, this is the day my mother looked forward to. And guess what, interestingly, because it was on Zoom, everybody was watching. My sister, who was watching in Scotland, when immediately she saw me step out, the same thing too, she started bawling, crying. And her husband goes, why are you crying? Aren't you happy? I am so happy. But I ought to have been there. And my mom ought to have been there. So it wasn't just me that went through the pain of not being married and all the ridicule from both family, cousins, family. And then another thing that would happen is that when they are doing, I'm the eldest granddaughter in our family. When they are doing things, because I'm not married or anything, they ignore me. They look like, you have no consequence, no husband, no pikin. Which one you did? So they will bypass me, they will overlook me. There were so many things that happened that just brought it to bear that you are not married. You don't have a child. It was painful, but I know I cried many times. I know at night I cried many times. But when they see me, they will not understand that this is what I was going through.
Okay, so but you are married now.
Glory to God.
We'll come to that, yes. However, but was this the first time you were coming close to getting married? Was this the first serious proposal that you had, or were there times that,
I don't think, well, there were some of these people, but some men would come round and pretend. But then for some strange reason, somehow I knew that they were not really serious. Because most of them is like, okay, at this age, this woman is not yet married. Let's see. Because they just believe that once you are not married, you'll be desperate, and any man that comes around, you'll be so willing. But what they wanted was not what I wanted, because they just wanted to sample, so to speak. And I would say there was even one time, yes, there was one time where I was the one who had to travel, because his older brother was a pastor that time, and he said, oh, I should travel. But the guy wasn't interested. It's like, oh, when they told him, of course he saw me and he liked me. Then when he learned my son, she's an old woman. And I wasn't old. I think I may have been in my 40s then. All right, okay, so I was talking about men who would come around and think that because at a particular age I was not yet married, I would be desperate. And they would come around, and somehow intuitively I would know that it wasn't that they actually wanted something. They would come and behave as this and talk. I knew that they were, intuitively, I knew that they were not serious. At some point in time, there was someone who I thought everybody around us, thought that, okay, yes, these two are going to get married. I mean, like I would always say, to be fair to him, he never opened his mouth one day to say, man, are you going to marry me? But it was just like everybody just assumed that we're going to get married and everything. And then all of a sudden one day comes to tell me, oh, something about the church where he was, something that he had to, something that he was going to get married to some other woman.
Wow.
Yes, okay, so that one.
So both of you were very close and everything? Very
close. Everybody saw us and everybody just assumed. Like I always say, to be fair to him, he never opened his mouth to say, Mena, would you marry me? But it was just this kind of, just naturally assume that, and everybody's okay.
So how did you feel? How was it when they told you what was the nice?
I was devastated because I really, really liked him then. I really, really liked him.
How old were you at this time?
I was, I had just finished university, although I had my NC before university, so I was in my late 20s, early 30s, yeah. So everybody thought that, okay, yes. In fact, till date, no, that one is different. That one was when I was 16. No, when I was 16, not that anything happened, but then there was my father's friend who saw everybody's okay, and everything. And he also too left and got married to somebody. Next time I would see him was married. Even I have a cousin who till date, although now that I'm married, she no longer it's like my in-law that never was. So I had cases of men who would actually come around. Aside from those two that I thought were serious, there were other men who would come around, but you would know deep down within you. Like I also go say, no, it's not. They are not. And but I would keep them off at arm's length.
But were you, when you were in your 20s, you saw some of your friends got married, but I'm sure in your 30s, more, was there a point you became worried at those early stages? Now, I'm not talking about the older time. I mean, the earlier stages, were there times you were just worried?
I started getting worried because I noticed at that point in time, I noticed that even if a man was going to come, I would have a dream. And in a dream, some man would try, and then, of course, everything would just scatter. And of course, when you have a church, all these Pentecostal churches go and say, the pastor will pray with you, and then when he's preaching, is your story that he used to preach and everything, that kind of thing. I think there were a couple of instances where it looked like someone would be interested in me, and then that night I would have a dream, and everything would just scatter. And then my mind always used to go back. When I was in the university, because I gave my life when I was in my 3rd year in the university, I attended the University of Jos. And of course, when I attended, when we were in the university, then we had a Christian Scripture Union. Yes, and then we also had older women in the faith who were bringing us up. Yeah. And then one day she came to me, and I was in my 3rd year in the university, without a care in the world. And she came to me and she told me that there was one man. And the man said, he didn't know me, but he had a dream about me. That he saw me going somewhere. He said, Mena, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to go and look for God. That God must answer me and give me what I want. And then he saw me, Mena, come. I said, no. And I ran off into the mist or so. And so he asked the woman to ask me, what is it I'm asking from God? And I'm wondering, 3rd year, university, all I want is, I don't want to be in 010. I want to pass, and get out of university. So each time a man would come and it would not happen, my mind would revert back to that dream. Could this be what the man had seen? It was only 2 days ago I was wondering, I said, how can another person be dreaming about me and I need to be bothering me? For crying out loud. Somebody dreamt about me. And then I'm worrying because something is happening. So that was then. And I mean, it happened even into this, my old age, so to speak. There's still some people, they will just be there. They were keeping you at arm's length, pretending that they are interested in you. Wow. And then maybe because you do not give in to what they want. Wow. Nothing.
Okay, but how did you cope with all the... I'm sure people will be asking you, when are you getting married, when are we eating rice?
Exactly.
All those things are happening. People talking, tell us some things that happened, and how did you generally cope
Excuse me.
with all those kind of things?
What I did then, I decided to withdraw from women my age then, because they are asking me questions. It's not that they were genuinely concerned. It's because they were trying to mock. And I don't know why you have people who mock you. So I withdrew from them, you know. And then I made friends with much younger women. Much younger, even though those ones were married and had children. They would bring their children around for me like, okay, grandma, and everything. And the way they would treat me, no, you know, those younger women would not even make reference to the fact that you are not married, you don't have a child. And so I concentrated more, as I withdrew from those women my age who were asking and behaving. And then what they would do, every time they're sitting, hey, my husband this, and my husband that, you know, when they were gisting, when it is not necessary for them to say, oh, my son, or my daughter, or this, and then all of you know that all of you are married, and I'm the only one who's not married, and then they'll be praising, you know, that I don't know whether you understand that kind of thing they were talking, and so I withdrew from going to go and visit them or being around them, and I concentrated with younger women. And that's why I said I threw my passion into children, you know, working with children. I'm a media person, so I decided to do media things with younger people. And I generally ignored women my age. Although in this, my latter age, is women my age who came through for me. And that's because at that time, these particular women with whom I had been in school, because I attended, it used to be the College of Education, Abraka, then. It's now DELSU, Delta State University. But my friends from way back, we caught up again like 2-3 years ago, and these women have been behind me. So all of them, they're all grandmas. Solidly behind me. When you are with them, you will not even know. But the women then before. So that's what I did rather that time. I would just concentrate with young people. You would just see me with younger women, younger children. In fact, before I left, because when I got married, I was living in Lagos, I got married, I moved to Warri, where we're saying, you know, these houses in Surulere that are bumper to bumper, so to speak, and our balcony. And I have 2 friends. One is 2 years old, one is 4 years old. Their father called me recently, said, they are missing you. Because we always stand on the balcony outside. Good morning, ma. Good morning, ma. Then they will start telling him, I don't understand, you know, with their big childish language. But we'll sit down and we'll be having a conversation, and people wonder, what on earth is this big woman doing with these kids? But that is how I managed to get over all of that.
Okay, so before your mom passed, maybe when you were like, let's say your 40s, 50s, what were your conversations with your mom like? You know, what did she think? Was it a situation where people were blaming you, or, you know, how was it? You know, because I know younger people today, maybe in their 30s, their parents wake up at the middle of the night and say, why are you still not married? You don't want to see your grandchildren. You know, what was the scenario like?
My mother really didn't ask me she never really asked me those kind of questions. Of course, already she had 2 daughters, and of course the younger one was married. And she may have wanted to ask, you could see the question in her eyes, but by the time I give her a stern look, she arranges herself. But you could see that she really badly affected. That was, you know, because for her, for every seed she sowed, for each child, each seed germinated, so to speak, and brought a harvest of it thereof. New King James language. But my own never did. But she never relented. She would always sow a seed. She would buy a fan in the church, she would do something, and everything she never relented. She never told us why it pained me. She never relented though. She would keep on praying for me. In fact, you know what a mother would do that time? All these nosy women, nosy packer, mama, you get one pastor or one church. My mother would bundle me off to the church. My mother took me to places. My mother took me to places. Oh my goodness. There was one that time in Warri. I think, were we living in Warri that time? Yes, we're living in Warri that time. I'm back to Warri actually. And I don't know who introduced this person to my mother. The man is praying, he will make his hand like this and he will say, sword of the Lord, and he puts it on your chest. Do you know it actually burns you? Because my mother would take, that's what my mother did. There was no place she did not take me to. MFM, Redeemed, Sword of the Lord, all kinds. There was even one in Nisoko. No place she didn't take me to, and all of them had stories. This one will say this one, that one will say this one. That's Sword of the Lord. Kai. You make it and it says, sword. Honestly, there was a burn on my, you will see a burn on my chest there. In fact, there was one day he was doing sword and it was paining me and it was burning. I had to grab it. I said, stop! I never went back there again.
Yeah.
Wow. My mother took me to MFM, and when we went to, and it's always some so-called concerned woman.
Yes.
Concerned woman.
Yes.
Hey, mama, MFM. Yeah. We went to MFM. So when we got in there, in fact, the pastor, I sorry for the pastor because he thought he was trying to bring up, it's not a hand. So he now said there's something about, I've forgotten what he said. Then I now told him, hey, what about, because I was trying to say that it's because of the sins of my grandfather. I said, what about that passage in the Bible where it says, no longer shall it be said that the parents have eaten sour grapes and the children's teeth are set on edge. I want to look at me as if to say, okay.
But you had other siblings that were married, so why is it, if it was your parents?
Exactly, why would it be me? Why me? So the man now said, okay, go and read Daniel 1:1, and then go and pray, and then when you have dreams, and then you have dreams. Because he saw that, I mean, you cannot just tell me, say, because of my grandfather may have committed something. I said, so I now asked him, so what about that passage? Says, no longer will it be said that the parents have eaten sour grapes and the children's teeth are set on edge. I once saw that one. Then when we finished, my mother, they say, was it a Redeemed parish or somewhere? And you see, where I was working, everybody they all believe that it's either a witch or something that has happened to me. That is why I'm not yet married. Oh my God, I suffered. I won't lie. I suffered. Even while I was working in Kaduna, I think I was gisting my husband. Was it, who was I gisting this morning or yesterday? How they took me, where I was staying. Somebody brought her older sister to stay with me. And that one, there was one man, a pastor or prophet. He had his own church. And then when he finished praying, he said, oh, go and look in your house and bring something valuable. So, of course, at that time, I had a set of glasses, which I really, really liked. I hadn't used, and I took them. He was now telling the woman later on that I brought glasses.
Yeah, so that's not what we expected.
I brought glasses. He said, do you know whether God will give her a delicate husband or something like that? And then once now, he now called her, said, he has found a husband for me. Oh, Major went, it was 120 something. I said, but you know that she's not that. You say, who told you that? This one that God says she's not going to have any husband. God has forgotten about this one. Wow. I'm telling you, what have I not heard because I wasn't married? So they say, oh, she's not married because when she was growing up, she was making shakara for men. Maybe the men will come first I'm making shakara. You know, some will say, it is witch or somebody, your father's house. At one point in time, they say, it's your father's house. I say, it's your mother's house. So at some point, I just said, okay, God, I beg.
Okay, but was there a time you gave up?
Yes. Not times. And I wanted to help God out like Sarah. But the beauty of it is that even when God knows how to arrange somebody. I was so sure. And then I even had some Christians who were even advising me, say, okay, you don't need to go about this, just have a boyfriend, just keep a boyfriend. And there I was thinking, okay, because these are strong men in the Lord and everything, and they're advising me, but God scatter everything. Each time God will scatter it. I said, let me help God out, like Sarah did. Thank God. God will scatter it somehow. Something will happen, we'll just scatter it. And I will tell you, at the beginning of this year,